Hello fun people, I'm Isaac Carlson, and today I want to discover who the most powerful Madrigal truly is in Encanto. When we look at all of the magical gifts bestowed to the Madrigals, which power comes out on top in a family battle to the death or during an attack from an army of invaders, who rises to be the champion of the family? But regardless of who we determine will be victorious, today's sponsor Disney Collect is focused on celebrating everyone in the family Madrigal. You see, the Disney Collect app allows you to get virtual cards of all of your favorite characters, both classic and new, including those we see in Encanto. With the beautiful cards you open from packs, missions, and their arcade, you can work to complete sets, craft them into rarer cards, and even trade them with friends you have connected with in the app or other fans from around the world. To start collecting Disney digital cards today, download the app through my link below, and once you're all set up, you can follow me just like all of my social accounts by searching Isaac Carlson. To begin going through all of the Madrigals, there's of course a few people we can disqualify right away as being the most powerful. Mirabel, Felix, and Augustine are all pretty much giftless throughout Encanto. Mirabel does unlock the magic of her family again, but we don't know what the ramifications of that are for her just yet. And while Abuela may have the most influence over her family, which is a power in and of itself, at least within Casita, I don't think that would do her much good in any physical confrontation, which is what we're mainly focusing on today. The Miracle Candle can't help her much in a battle, and the same goes for Dolores and her gift. Dolores' super hearing may be a pretty neat party trick and definitely would be beneficial for surveillance purposes, but otherwise, I think it's really one of the worst powers in the family Madrigal. It really seems more like a burden than a blessing, since we can see that it's very easy for noises to be completely deafening and overwhelming for her, and even just socially, knowing the inner workings and secrets of everyone you know sounds like such a burden. I'm curious about people's drama sometimes, but knowing everything would be really too much. I don't want to know what people say behind my back all day, every day, and in a life or death situation specifically, all it would take is too much noise and Dolores would be taken down immediately. Now, Julieta also doesn't have a great combat-ready gift, since she can really only heal herself and others with her cooking. That could theoretically keep her in a fight longer than the giftless people in her family, since she can continue to at least revive herself, but once she's out of the food she prepared in advance, she wouldn't be able to continue to keep herself alive against more powerful foes, especially if they were smart and took away her food for themselves. If she could heal herself on command, then she could theoretically just continue to fight like she was Wolverine with a healing factor, or she could wear down her enemies like Doctor Strange did against Dormammu. In a war where the Madrigals are united against a foe, that's when Julieta would shine, because even if they were overwhelmed by a force, she could keep them all alive. But it's still difficult to imagine her healing being that helpful in any situation over the long term, since it's tied to a very limited resource. Camilo, on the other hand, has an interesting gift since he can transform himself into other people, but it's unclear if he takes on the attributes of the person he becomes. If Camilo turned into the fastest person in the world, could he run just as fast? And I think the even more interesting question is, if he became another Madrigal, would he take on their gifts? When he turned into Dolores, for example, could he hear like her? I kind of doubt it, but we really don't know for sure. If he could summon all of the Madrigal's gifts, then of course he would be the best, but I don't think that's the case. I believe Camilo only puts on the appearance of others, which means he's the most useful, like his sister, in spy situations where he's trying to blend in. I guess if there were invaders, he could mimic one of them, but I don't know how far that would get him. Regardless, it doesn't set him up to be the most powerful, because in a battle, he is just a bit more advantaged than the giftless family members. And Bruno is like that too. With Bruno's ability to see the future, he can know what will take place, but beyond that, he has no way of changing what will come. There's also the fact that it takes a lot out of him to look into the future, which means he doesn't have some kind of spidey sense where he can feel what is about to take place just before it happens. Like, Bruno can't dodge punches or bullets because he has to go through a whole ritual to see key events that will take place. And beyond those isolated, concentrated moments, he's just a normal person. But his youngest nephew is a totally different case. Now we're getting to the most dangerous Madrigals. The remaining family members we're discussing are easily the true warriors of the family. Starting off with Antonio, his ability to speak to animals is incredible, especially paired with his kindness. He's been able to befriend so many creatures, including a sizable jaguar. Sure, Antonio doesn't have full control over his animals, but they appear to be extremely loyal, helpful, and intelligent. There's no reason to believe they wouldn't assist him if there was a threat that was after him. With flocks of birds, apex predators, and Bruno's mice to back him up, Antonio could definitely overwhelm many of his enemies and a lot of his family members. But but I think his mother would have him beat. Pepa was one person who I immediately thought of when I was considering who would rise to the top. I mean, her ability to control the weather is amazing. 80-mile-per-hour winds, hail, and lightning are terrifying, but she can't really control the weather. Her mood only affects the weather, so she can't target someone with her powers, and that inability to focus her gifts in a specific way could leave her vulnerable. Like, her stress could lead to a tornado carrying away someone who isn't much of a threat when she's being attacked, or if the Madrigals were fighting together, the weather she summoned could accidentally harm her family. But regardless, in a life or death situation, her gift would definitely come out in full force. If Pepa was in a battle, she would be able to retaliate subconsciously in a massive way. There's no chance Antonio's animals could survive a hurricane. But I think if she faced off against her oldest nieces, she could be beaten. By far, I think the most powerful members of the Madrigal family are actually Mirabel's older sisters, Isabella and Luisa. And one of the reasons I think they are so strong relative to everyone else is the fact they are in full control of their gifts. As long as the miracle is fully present, Isabella can summon as many plants as she desires, and Luisa will remain indestructible with practically unlimited strength. Neither one is beholden to a mood or a ritual or the trust of some other entity. They both choose how their gifts shape the world. With the realization that Isabella can create any plant she desires, there's no limits to what she can grow, and her plants will serve her in any way she chooses. We even see on accident she can break Mariano's nose, and with Mirabel, we saw her soar into the sky on her vines. Even more impressive, with little to no effort, an entire village can be covered in her flowers. So just picture what she could do if the plants were attempting to break the foundation of buildings, or she was attempting to entrap an army. In a matter of moments, she could crumble cities and stop massive legions of troops, and for a while, I felt like that meant she was the most powerful. Against even the strongest Madrigals, Isabella could tie down Antonio's animals, and the creation of an unlimited variety of plants meant, to me, she could protect herself from anything her aunt tried to throw at her. I don't think her plants could be resisted by Pepa's indirect emotional weather powers forever. A wall of trees, for example, could keep Isabella safe from lightning, hail, and hurricanes, and vines surrounding Pepa would eventually take her down. But when I thought about Luisa, suddenly Isabella didn't seem as unstoppable. Luisa can lift buildings, she can shatter rocks with her body, and she even admits she can move mountains. There was never a sign that anything could stop her or hold her back or damage her. So to me, there seems to be nothing Isabella could throw at her sister that would be able to take her down. Sure, Isabella might be able to wrap up any army quicker than Luisa, but Luisa could never be restrained and should be able to leave unscathed from practically any fight she enters. No stray bullet or knife or bomb could take her down. Luisa would be able to power through everything anyone, including Isabella, would throw at her. The only thing that I could think of that might be able to stop Luisa is poison, and that's something Isabella could conjure up. Theoretically, if Isabella would be able to force Luisa to consume a poisonous plant, since there's definitely no way anything would puncture her skin, then Luisa could lose to her older sister. But one punch from Luisa would also stop anyone who she goes up against, so the poison Isabella would have to give her younger sister would need to pretty much take effect immediately for her to survive a fight with Luisa. Otherwise, it would just be a draw. In my mind, it could be super close if there was a battle between Isabella and Luisa, but Luisa is the one who is combat ready. She's resilient and has practically infinite strength. She'd stop any animal Antonio could send her way. She wouldn't be taken down by Pepa's weather, and I don't think any plant Isabella summoned would be quick enough to stop the girl who could put an entire town on her back. I think Luisa is the most powerful Madrigal, but let me know who you think is the most powerful down in the comments. Consider subscribing for more magical videos, and of course, thanks for watching and have a magical day.